This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Good evening, friends, and welcome back to Paranormal StakeOut. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, coming to you from the mothership of paranormal programming, the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And as always, it's my goal on this program to present to you, my listeners, with guests and commentary that will challenge your views of the paranormal. And tonight, we've got a good friend of the show coming back. Really happy to have him, Mr. Dave Spinks. Dave has been investigating the paranormal since 1986, and in 2011 retired after a 20-year-plus career in the U.S. military and federal law enforcement. Since that time, he also has founded Crossroads Paranormal Investigations and has been involved in some of the most important investigations not only in this country but in Europe. He's devoted himself full-time to paranormal investigation research. He's been a guest on a number of shows, including this one. His website is davespinks.paranormalinvestigators.com, and you can also find him on Facebook at Dave Spinks 1569. Dave, welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout, my friend.
Hey, Larry, thanks for having me. Can I give you one correction on the group?
Oh, did I get that wrong? That figures.
Yeah, no problem. It's I founded Real Supernatural, and I co-founded Society of the Supernatural in 2000.
Then I stand corrected, my friend. I apologize for that. But
no worries.
Well, tell me, Dave, since we last talked, what is any new investigations, any new adventures you've been on?
Oh, yeah, man. I've been out with my buddies, David Weatherly and Sean Austin, Society of the Supernatural. When we go out, Larry, we usually hit a week's worth of investigations at a time. So we'll go out for 6-7 days and we'll hit 5 locations in that time frame.
Wow.
Depending where we're at and what we're doing. Our most recent week, we were invited, and this is really special to us. We were invited by the managers of Ripley's, believe it or not, down in Panama City, Florida, to investigate their location, to investigate some of the artifacts within the museum there. And let me tell you something, we got some amazing stuff there.
Have you ever been down to Ripley's in St. Augustine?
Oh yeah, many times. I used to live in Jack's Beach, so I was 30 minutes away from me, and I've investigated the whole town of St. Augustine many times. I love it there.
Oh, yeah, it's actually one of my favorite places. In fact, one of my first paranormal investigative experiences was right there in that terrific lighthouse that they have.
What I like about Augustine, Larry, is, it's probably the oldest city in the United States. They don't portray it as that, but I think it was settled in, the 1500s.
Yeah, it actually is the oldest city in the United States.
Yeah, and, that you hear all this stuff about Jamestown and all this stuff, but let me tell you, St. Augustine's a lot older.
Yeah, and it's also an exciting place to be. I totally agree.
Oh yeah, and what is it there? I mean, I think the town was burnt to the ground 4 or 5 times. There was numerous pirates hung there. They had many battles at the Castillo de San Marcos, and you have the old jail, you have the old lighthouse, all these haunted locations. It's just, you could stay there a month and not investigate everything.
No doubt about it. And I hope St. Augustine appreciates our little plug for him there, because that is one terrific city.
Oh, yeah.
Any new evidence in your recent travels?
Oh, yeah. I got to share this one at Ripley's, at the Believe It or Not Museum in Panama City. They had a executioner's table there from Africa, and, some of the artifacts in the Ripley's are copies of other artifacts from the other Ripley's, but some are legitimate. They kind of split them up. And this particular table was a huge round wooden table. It had all these African carvings on the base of it, and it actually had an indention in the table where so many heads were laid upon it made an indentation in the wood where their heads were chopped off. So we thought, yeah, let's see if we can get anything off of this. So we gathered around and we started doing a ghost box sessions and getting some really weird negative responses. But at the same time, there was noises all around the ceiling on top, above us while we're trying to get some responses. And Weatherly standing over there with an SLS camera. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but it's a really cool piece of equipment that Bill Chappell. Yeah. And we had, he was pointing the SLS camera at the table. All of a sudden, during all this activity, he goes, "Oh my God, there's a stick figure." So a stick figure appeared on the table, right next to the table, like it was kneeling down, and his head was on that freaking spot where all those people had been executed. And then his head disappears right on the SLS camera. So it was like we were capturing a residual moment when someone got their head chopped off. It was truly one of the best. It was just an amazing experience to see that and have that on, we have that on video on our channel.
Oh, yeah. So I'd recommend folks go take a look at that. When were you up there?
We were up there last month. We went down there. For 2 days, we were down in...
Dave, I got to cut you short right now. Looks like we're going to our first break, but we'll get back to Ripley's in just a quick second.
For sure.
Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine such as hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining rooms can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you visit, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic downtown Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best. Welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout, folks, with our guest tonight, Dave Spinks. Dave, it's so great to have you back on the show. And a few moments ago, before the break, we were talking about your trip up to Panama City and Ripley's, and had to cut you a little short there. Can you finish the story that you had?
Yeah, so we were, we caught that stick figure on the SLS camera, and to us, it felt like it was showing us a residual event that happened of someone actually getting their head chopped off on that table. And we thought that was very compelling because, you can see all of us clear as a bell on the cameras, and that stick figure was in the middle of the air, bending down on the exact spot where people would get their head chopped off on that table. So, stuff like that is what we look for when we do this. I mean, that's kind of hard to refute, it's just amazing to
I agree with you. Now, that SLS camera, once again, being a little bit skeptical, being a cop, and I know you're a cop too, so we both have to look at things skeptically. I wasn't so sure about that piece of equipment until we used it in one of our investigations with our friends from Off the Trails Paranormal, and it showed us some things that were really pretty amazing, and watching that stick figure, it actually reacted to us. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool piece of equipment, no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's very compelling when something like that happens, and not only that, you're getting responses on a ghost box, and you're hearing audible noises with your ears around you that's not being caused by any of the people in the room with you.
And I call that, and we use this term in law enforcement, and I know you've heard it, triangulation. And I kind of use it a little different here, but with 3 different areas all reacting and giving you evidence, it tends to give, at least for me personally, it gives the evidence a little bit more credibility when I'm getting reactions from 3 pieces of equipment or 3 different events. So that was pretty.
I mean, all we can do is, and it coming from our side of the field, it's a little bit like circumstantial evidence in a case.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 100%, but it's good enough to say, hey, there's something that's really significant there. And, you try to go from there and see what happens.
Almost a probable cause. And then we got to continue investigating until we get proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And as my listeners know, that's where I'm heading. Hey, let me ask you another question, because I've noticed a trend occurring in our field, the paranormal investigation research field. I want to get your opinion on it. And this connection between UFOs and ghosts. Do you have an opinion on that?
Somewhat, yeah. And if any of your listeners follow what me and David Weatherly and Sean Austin do, we feel there's some sort of correlation between all of this stuff. We don't know what it is, but we kind of concentrate our investigations, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, on areas of what David calls areas of high strangeness, where there's a mass amount of reports of all kinds of supernatural activity, such as hauntings, UFO sightings, and unknown creatures. We really like to concentrate on those types of areas because we're trying to see if there is some correlation to all this, whether it be high excuse me, high EMF fields, or maybe the area has a really high geomagnetical pull to it of some sort. Maybe it's one of those areas where you could say maybe there's some kind of vortex or portal there, that's
Okay.
causing all these different things to occur. So, that's one of the things we're looking at now in what we do.
Okay, and you got to help me with this because I certainly value your opinion, but as a cop and a paranormal investigator, I'm having trouble connecting the two. It almost a fad. I have not seen evidence connecting that. Tell me
No.
what you've seen. Help me with this.
Well, I'm not going to say I have evidence that's connecting the two because I don't.
Okay. Okay.
Like I said, what we're looking at now is these certain areas that have all these different reports of this different type of activity going on in a generalized area, such as hauntings,
Mm-hmm.
sightings of like Sasquatch, Mothman, the whole 9 yards, and UFOs. Because some of these areas have all the above, and it's not just happened recently. This goes way back to many, many years ago. Some of these areas.
Okay.
So we're just trying to, there is some kind of correlation to maybe something with the geomagnetical pull of the earth in that specific area, or if something maybe, something there is causing people to have hallucinations or any of that sort of thing.
Okay, I'm getting that now, and what you're trying to tell me then is it's not so much that ghosts and UFOs are connected. What you're trying to tell me is there's something in the area that's perhaps drawing that type of energy. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, exactly. We're looking into different aspects of that situation. If there's something in that area, like the magnetic field of the earth or whatever the case may be. When we go out, we'll take readings of those of the EMF in the area and in many different spots and try to say, there's some kind of something weird going on in this specific area. We don't know what it is, but we're trying to maybe come to the realization that it's something to do with the magnetic pull of the earth, something to do with what's under the earth, such as limestone or water. A lot of these places have huge aquifers underneath the ground, and limestone as well, and quartz and all this stuff. Maybe it all correlates together. We're looking into that, see if we can make it.
And I can see that. I can see where an event is causing multiple things to happen. But what are your thoughts on UFOs and ghosts actually being connected? Actually,
I can't say. I don't right now at this point. I don't believe that they're connected in any way whatsoever. Other than there are many people, I'll tell you what I've heard from many different people. There's some people believe that there are no ghosts. It's angels and demons only. And then some people think that the UFO, like the aliens, are nothing but demons. There's a belief out there that's going around. And, that these demons are portraying themselves as some kind of alien, creature. So there's some weird, side group of folks that think of it in that aspect. But as far as ghosts and UFOs connection, I haven't found anything myself personally to say, yeah.
Okay, I was wondering about that because far be it for me to tell somebody that they're wrong. I try to be very open-minded, and as a detective, that's what helps me in my work is keeping an open mind to all aspects of it, all evidence. But
absolutely.
This connection just seems very odd to me, and I'm just trying to find that connection. So I'm kind of on board with you. I mean, there may be something, a geomagnetic force or something like that is causing things to happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're connected to each other. So I get where you're coming from that completely there. This goes back to another issue, and I want to get your thoughts on this too. And this comes to training of investigators. How many people are in your team, generally speaking, that go out with you? Do you have a group of folks?
There's three of us. I keep my circles really tight because, like you said, you touched on it. There's no right, wrong, or set way to do what we do. As far as the paranormal, supernatural world goes, because there's no way to prove anything, with 100% factuality at this point. So there's really no set way of doing things. However, now, if you come from the law enforcement background, you have a set of skills that you're trained to do, and when it comes to investigating that you can utilize that help, like I always say, I try to concentrate on the who, what, where, when, and why, and how. That's
Sure.
what I do. And you're kind of taught that in law enforcement, and I think that helps because that gives you a basis to work off of. And, if a lot of these folks that, there's a lot of different, I don't know how to word this, but there's a lot of different people in the paranormal world that investigate. Some are weekend warriors. Some are such as myself and Weatherly and Sean. We do this full time. This is what we do. And there's many other groups out there that do it full time too, but because folks have jobs and whatnot, and they're not able to do what we do, So
True.
if you have a set way of doing things and you do that every time, that's a good thing, because then you have a base to build off of, and you can work it like that. And
Well,
I think that gives you an advantage.
And that, I think, is going to be important in our field by creating a standard by which people can go by, because it is my belief that if we continue to investigate and we use similar techniques, set a certain set of standards, I think we might start getting more consistent evidence. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's just getting folks to get on board with that, because like I said, you have your weekend warriors that they're thrill seekers. They want to go out and see a ghost. I mean, that's what they do. They don't take it as seriously as some other people do. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but that's just the facts. I mean, there's people out there that do this and are trying to really document things and really, get some answers and some evidence to show, there's something out there we just don't understand. But then there's other folks that are more of a thrill-seeking type that want to go out and just have an experience, or maybe get lucky and capture something on a camera, or get an EVP, and then that's what they want. They get that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
So that's true.
You might have some bad feedback on that because folks aren't willing. Well, because they're going to say, well, there's no set way of doing this. What makes you think you're better than the other? That's just the paranormal world in general, and that's a shame. But that is a shame.
And it is a shame, because if we all want the field to progress, we've all got to come together with the same goal in mind.
I agree 100%.
Let me ask you this then. How to put this? How much research do you actually think is being done out there among groups? And by that, I mean, how many groups out there, or what is the majority of people doing? Are they just looking for that quick thrill of catching a ghost or an EVP? Or are they really doing research as to finding, well, what's going on when we catch this evidence? What's the temperature, barometric pressure, moon phase, whatever? What do you think?
Yeah, there's very few groups out there that do that go into it in that much detail, because, and this is another shame, and I'm not saying I'm guilty of it too. I don't go into that much detail every single investigation, but there are times that I do, we try to get all of that information as well as what we're doing. But, there's not very many groups that will go out there and put that much time and effort forth, because again, people just don't have that kind of time, because most investigators out there, number one, they think they're going to get a TV show, which that's not going to happen. And number two, they don't want to put the time into it, that it really takes to review the evidence they capture and look at all the different conditions that they're in, and then also the historical research of the area or the location they're in. I mean, literally each investigation you would do would take months and months, just as it would in a real, law enforcement scenario. It doesn't just happen overnight. If you want to document that, get that detailed into it, I mean, it really would take you months of work to do one location, and that'd be a full time.
It would be full time. That's, I guess, one advantage that you guys have in being able to do that. I mean, I'm in the same boat. I still work full time as a policeman, so I get that, but I still think that there's a way to do it. have some fun, but at the same time still take the investigation seriously and get that data that's so very, very important. So
yeah, I think if we all came together somehow and
hey,
come up with it.
Dave, I got to cut you short here. We're gonna go to our next break. So folks, stay with us. We'll see you on the other side.
Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies,
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows,
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, and we're here back with Dave Spinks. Dave, great conversation we've been having tonight, and I want to go back and retouch on a little something here, and I think I might have mentioned our last segment, but how much research is being done as compared to ghost hunting? I know we talked about that a little bit. I want to know where you see research going, your opinions on equipment improvement. Where do you see the combination of research versus just plain old ghost hunting? And I know we talked about people just like having fun, but what do we need to do to improve research?
I think we need to get, as far as research goes, if we can get the scientific community to be more be more of a help to us, and maybe get into it with us, I think that would help a lot. If we can get some mainstream scientists involved, more often than not, they don't want anything to do with it. But if we could get a good handful of those folks to put their 2 cents in, I think it'd be an extreme help to advance the field. It's just mostly, like I said earlier on, it's mainly thrill seeking and just straight up ghost hunting going on. It's not a lot of, hardcore scientific stuff being done.
What kind of equipment do you think that we need to see improvement on? What direction do you think this equipment needs to take? And even added in there, what's your favorite piece of equipment? What do you think is the most successful piece?
For me, I use a whole bunch of stuff, because I like to get multiple things going at one time, like we talked about that happened at Ripley's. When you can get multiple things going on at once, it kind of gives you verification that, yeah, you got something definitely going on there. Now, if it's actually paranormal or not, that's left to be said, but that's what I like to do. But my favorite, I love the EMF meter, the Mel meters. I love those, especially the ones that have multiple functions. And I love to use different various recorders. I actually still use cassette tapes, magnetic tapes when I can, because I find a lot of times you will get some really, really good EVPs on those.
Okay. Photographs. Let's talk a little bit about photographs and the equipment used to do that. Cell phones versus cameras, film versus digital. Thoughts?
If you go back old school, a lot of folks love to use the Polaroid cameras because they're very, extremely difficult to be tampered with. And when they capture an image, you pretty much can guarantee that there's something there. With digital photography, there's all these different ways you can manipulate those nowadays with computer programs and whatnot. And, it's a shame that you have a lot of hoaxers out there that really brings the field down in that aspect. But, any old camera is good. I mean, if you can capture something and if you don't have pareidolia effects, a lot of times folks think they see something in a picture when it's just actually the human brain, which is programmed to see faces and everything. I mean, that's just our normal programming as a human. You're programmed to see faces in clouds, whatever the case may be. We're just programmed like that. So, and a lot, I get sent pictures from folks all the time asking me, what do I think about this and what do I think about that? But I never make a judgment on a picture that's sent to me because I don't know all the factors involved. I wasn't there. I don't know the lighting. I don't know what the, atmospheric conditions were or any of that thing. I don't know how many people were in the room. There's just so many factors that are involved. It's impossible to make a determination on those type of things.
Well, it's tough, and there's so many different apps and whatnot out there too that people can tamper with. And I agree. You got to know the full story behind a picture to make an accurate depiction of it. But there's also so many folks out there that are wanting something so badly, that they see it. We had, and I've talked about it in some of my other shows. We've had some folks conduct some experiments at a couple of my investigations. On projection, where we've actually had investigators want so badly to hear an EVP, and this is one experiment that somebody did at one of my events, is they had all the folks in the room think of one word. Banana was it, in fact, and everybody kept thinking banana, 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 and then they did an EVP session. And I wasn't there. I didn't personally hear it, but there were folks that said that word banana actually came across on EVP. It's an interesting theory in that we almost can make our own ghosts.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that theory at all?
Yeah, that's a big thing that's going around right now, is the power of the human brain to actually project our thoughts and feelings upon electronical devices. And I think it's fascinating in its own self that, man, if we can do that, I mean, that's amazing to me. If we can all have the hive mentality, if you will, and we can all concentrate on one thing and make it happen, that's amazing to me in itself. Now that's not necessarily paranormal, as we know, but I don't even know what's the numbers. We only use a small percentage of our brain, and there's still so many things to be unlocked with the human brain too. So, that's one of the things we're trying to find out. Are we causing these things to happen by thinking them? Or is it actually a true event that's going on when we're on these investigations?
Or could it be a combination of both?
Both, yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's so many different scenarios, different ways you could go with it. I mean, it's just mind blowing.
Well, and I've talked to so many people. They want so badly to see things happen or have things occur that I can, and I also agree that the power of our brain is so untapped. We just really don't know what we can and can't do.
Absolutely.
And that brings me to a topic that I'm really starting to become fascinated with, and that's remote viewing. Are you familiar with that at all?
Oh, absolutely. The government has done extensive testing for many years on subjects with remote viewing, and a lot of that stuff is top secret still, but they have come out and said they had some very good success with that, especially during the Cold War era. Mm-hmm. The Russians were doing it, we were doing it, many governments were doing it, and there was people that were actually able to, identify things almost to an exact, a perfect identification of what they were seeing from thousands of miles away. And there's been movies done on it too. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Oh, it is. And if we can do that with our mind, what's to say we can't inadvertently almost create some of these paranormal events? Now, don't misunderstand me. I've had enough happen to me personally. I don't think that's the only reason it occurs, but I do think it can have a huge effect on what we do and what we get as investigators and what conclusions we come to about whether or not a place is haunted or whether different things are happening in a place.
Yeah, and there's something that goes along with that in the paranormal realm called a tulpa. And when, people constantly think of a certain type of energy or whatnot, there's a theory out there that, that creation or that thought will actually manifest. And a prime example of that is Slender Man.
Oh, yeah.
That's a prime example of that. It was an internet joke, really, but so many people thought it was real that now there's theories out there saying that actually manifested from all those people thinking about it. And that to me is fascinating as well. There's so many different, and then you go the whole poltergeist route where, people are moving things with their minds and they think it's a ghost, but it's actually a person moving it with their own thoughts and energies and stuff like that. So that's something we got to try to maybe differentiate what's going on. Is that us doing that with our mind, or is that an actual true paranormal event caused by some type of entity?
Well, have you had the opportunity yourself in your investigations to look into that a little bit? Have you been able to explore that area at all?
As far as which part, the stuff of us moving stuff with our minds, or
more along the lines of us creating these problems. Certainly, you go back to all through history, people have talked about moving things with their mind, and it.
Oh,
I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about in your investigations, because that's a lot of the places where I like to focus my energy on is the collection of evidence. have you had a chance in your investigations to conduct any studies, research, if you will, on folks creating their own evidence?
No, I have not done much of that. However, I've heard many, many stories, and one story that particularly fascinated me was someone that was close to my mother would tell me these stories. And this was when I was probably 16, 17 years old, would tell me these stories about his brother, how he could levitate himself and move things with his mind, and especially when he got really mad about something.
Mhm.
And that fascinated me. And, that was kind of close. And I tried to talk to him about it, when I was around him, and he just would not talk about it, but his brother, which was very close to my mom, he swore up and down that he did it all through their growing up days. He could levitate himself. And he said a lot of times when he'd be sleeping, he would levitate. And I just thought that was fascinating. Is a guy possessed? Does he have some kind of magical powers? What's going on here? So that just, and you hear these types of stories all over the place, of people being able to do these type of things, and it's fascinating.
Well, and that power of the brain is what's fascinating me right now, and I want to kind of tie that into training. If we are going to continue to work to improve the collection of evidence to prove the existence of, we need to go somewhere with our training in order for folks to be able to corral that, to understand that, to not allow them to have that interfere with an actual investigation, their own thoughts and energy. Am I making sense there? And,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Ideally, Larry, we'd have to have a scientific totally controlled environment to be able to study stuff like that, and most people just can't come up with those kind of resources. And, that's why I was saying, you tie it in with what I said earlier. If we had some of the scientific community that have, are able to acquire those type of resources and those some type of environment where we could do controlled studies on that would be awesome. God, you couldn't get a better.
I actually got just the place for that. It's called Fellsmere, Florida, and that's a direction I'm heading in right now. And I think that's very, very important for us to start heading into that area. Now, there's been at least a couple of universities. UCLA, I believe, was one of them in California that did conduct these type of experiments for quite a few years. I believe Stanford might have been the other one. So, there's been some effort on the part of the academic scientific community.
Yeah, there has. And unfortunately, a lot of that stuff stems from government funding. Unless you have private funding, you got to reach out and try to get a grant of some sort to do that, which I think would be phenomenal. And, if you could, and the government's more than likely got top secret programs that study all this stuff. They just don't put it out there. But, us peons, we don't get access to that, unfortunately, unless you have a PhD in biomechanics or something.
True.
You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. So, we do the best we can with what we got. And hopefully one day we can merge all this stuff together with some folks that have that background and have that money, to do these types.
I got to cut you here, my friend, because we're about ready to go to our last break. But I've got a bunch of other things I want to talk to you about on the other side as we take this last break. Friends, stay with us. Got Dave Spinks here as we head into our last break. We'll see you on the other side.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka,
X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? I'm Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and on The Secret to Everything, we will merge the practical with open investigation into all realms of the mysterious. We will talk to cutting-edge alternative health practitioners, those who inspire and motivate you in business and life, and of course, we will share stories of the paranormal, conspiracy, and cryptozoology. You will transform because of the frequency I carry, the frequencies my guests carry. Life may never be the same after you listen to this program, for the secret to everything is for you, the listener, for those who desire more in every area of their lives and believe that it can still be found. Listen and discover thesecrettoeverything.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back, folks, to Paranormal Stakeout with tonight's guest, Dave Spinks. I'm your host, Larry Lawson. Dave's with the Society of the Supernatural. I want you to take a minute and go by his website at davespinks.paranormalinvestigations.com or his Facebook at davespinks1569. And don't forget to tune in to the other outstanding programming here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Visit us at www.xzbn for the schedule for all the terrific programs on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Would also like to invite you to check out my website at www.paranormalfbi.com and Larry Lawson at xzbn.net. And join us on Facebook at Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation. Well, Dave, we're in our last section tonight. Had a great conversation. I enjoy talking about the possibilities of training and bringing in the scientific community a lot more. And I think that we can do that. I think we're heading that way. There's a lot of studies that have been done. I think the key now is bringing them all together and getting people of like minds, and even some that aren't of such like minds, but are interested in finding the answers, coming together to conduct these studies. And research is where we're at. But anyway, that's my my spiel on that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think it's important, and I think to further and advance the field, we need to get to that point. So,
well,
yeah,
we've got to get away, and we all like the thrill. There's no denying that, but we've got to get away from just the thrill-seeking of paranormal investigations and truly dedicate ourselves to training and research. That's how we're going to get over the hump, if you will, in this field. I want to take a couple minutes. I know you've been doing some interesting things with your groups, and I understand that you've been working on a book involving Bigfoot. Is that true?
Yeah. Actually, I've been collecting eyewitness accounts for around 3.5 years, maybe 4 years now, of just here in West Virginia, from really credible people to include law enforcement, lawyers, doctors, the whole 9 yards. Many people from all different types of walks of life that have, had these encounters with these large, hairy creatures, otherwise known as Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the West Virginia Stone Man, the Yahoo, and many other names he goes by.
The Yahoo, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. There's a bunch of names here. A lot of those names stem from the really ancient Native Americans that were in this area. So. It's I had my own encounter as a young man, and I'll be talking about that more as we go on with it. But, it's something that fascinates me. I know what I saw, and I know it wasn't a human, or 100% human anyway. It was huge, bipedal, hairy creature tearing down trees in the woods and throwing giant rocks at me and my grandfather in the river. Mm-hmm. So, needless to say, I've pursued other folks, trying to find out their encounters and what they experienced and how they felt. And I've got quite a few amassed now, well over 30 accounts just in my area alone, and several more in the surrounding counties. So I'm putting it all together because I think it's fascinating. And, when you have this many people sharing similar stories, there's something to it. There's many theories on Bigfoot and Sasquatch out there. Some believe it's some kind of interdimensional being. Some think it's an elemental of the forest, and some think it's an alien, and some think it's, the missing link between man and ape. So there's many different theories. None of them has ever been proven yet because there's never been a dead or alive specimen captured or killed. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely something going on. I know what I saw, and I can tell when I interview these folks. I've weeded out some that I thought were BS, and I got rid of those accounts. But these other ones that I have kept for what I'm doing with the book and stuff, I think it's right on, and it's legitimate. People really believe they saw this thing as I did, and that's what I'm going with it.
Have you been able to come across somebody yet? And there are tons of stories out there. There's no question about it. But have you come up with or had the opportunity to meet with or read the studies of anybody that's done any actual research on what this being might be?
As far as meet anybody that's doing research, I have a lot of contacts in the field that have been researching this creature for many, many years, such as David Weatherly, who's a really good friend of mine. And his contacts, he feeds me information from his contacts with some very well-known people in the field, such as Lyle Blackburn, Ken Gerhardt, many others that are very well-known cryptozoologists and biologists, so there's just too many accounts of people seeing these. There's thousands and thousands of accounts, and there's many pictures, many footprints taken. Some are hoaxes and some are not. Some cannot be proven to be a hoax. So, that's what we're doing. We're just trying to add to it and see what happens.
Well, you said something that was kind of interesting to me because I'll tell you right up front, I not discounting anything because as I've said before and many times, I like to keep an open mind, but I'm not a big Sasquatch Bigfoot aficionado. I certainly have not spent any time studying it. But you made a comment about some people thinking it's an interdimensional being or woodland elemental. Are
Yes.
you seeing a growing number of folks that are also equating ghosts to Bigfoot? Is that happening?
No, no, I haven't heard that that
Okay.
take on it. I've just heard many different theories because of certain situations and certain encounters. Like many stories say that they'll see this creature walking, and it's leaving footprints or what have you, and they start following the footprints, and the creature goes behind a tree or a big brush or bush or whatever, and they walk up to, they're following the footprints, and the creature's gone, and the footprints just stop, and the thing just disappeared like it was beamed up by Scotty or something. So therein goes the theory of maybe it's some type of interdimensional being or alien creature that can, disappear at will or, move to another location. So, you hear there's numerous reports of this happening and many other types. So, nobody's quite sure what it is, and it's just all part of it for me. It's just another aspect of the supernatural and paranormal that I try to
And I agree with you. That is part of where I'm at. It's my life as a police detective. I want to find the answers to these age-old questions, and certainly that one's been out there, not as long as perhaps ghosts, but long enough.
Oh yeah.
Tell me,
there's ancient accounts, from Native Americans that are thousands of years old. That's what intrigues me, and I'm like, okay, they didn't know what that. They don't in the modern times, we're much more descriptive. All they did was they drew what they saw, and they wrote what they saw on rocks. So, there's something to it. What it is, we don't know.
Well, what do you think the reasoning is, or the theory behind the fact that we've never found physical evidence? I mean, here's a being, a large, hairy physical being, but we've never found any skeletal remains or anything like that. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, there's many theories on that too, Larry. Some folks think that they may bury their dead. Some folks think, as I said, they're interdimensional beings and they just disappear. So other than that, I've been hunting my whole life in the woods, and I've never come across a bear skeleton, and I've seen many hundreds of bears in the woods. Also, other creatures will eat the bones of dead creatures for the calcium in the bones, and skeletons do not last long in the wilderness.
Well, yeah,
and
I guess
I think if it's some type, yeah, and I mean my personal take on it, if it is some type of physical creature or a missing link between human and man, that there's a very, very small group of them that are probably, nomadic, and they travel constantly in search of food. And, that's why there's just not that many found. And they don't tend to stick to high areas of people. They stick to themselves in the woods, and that's it, and most people don't go in the woods. So, most people live in big cities or populated areas, and a lot of these sightings are mostly in rural areas near woodlands or swamp areas or mountainous areas. So,
well, do you see yourself, because you're well known as a ghost guy, for lack of a better term, do you see yourself eventually moving farther away from that and more focusing on the world of cryptozoology?
No, I mean, I've done it all for the whole time, Larry. I just don't. It's not as mainstream as the ghost stuff, and you have a lot more locations that are accessible when you do the haunting type of scenarios, and so it's a lot easier to go investigate a reported haunted location versus mounting an expedition to go out in the wilderness and look for watches,
True. Either way, it is a fascinating world, and one that, once again, I'm a big proponent of investigation, wherever it takes us, proof or absolute debunking the entire theory. Either way, it's a fascinating place to go, and research and training, in my opinion, is where we need to go to make this happen. And I want to wish you luck in this new book. I'd also like to wish you luck in your endeavors with your group and your continued research and investigations into the paranormal. I've really enjoyed having you on the show tonight. You've brought up some really interesting angles, and I know our listeners have enjoyed it. I want to thank you again, and I ask everybody to take a look at Dave Spinks, paranormalinvestigations.com. And with that, folks, we're going to see you next week on the show. We'll see you on the other side. This is Larry Lawson signing off.